So we got this. I got this working, and I figured out what was wrong with the controller, and I'll show you the solution for that in just a little bit. But we can preview the finished product here. This is the VR room editor that I made last night. So let's show you. Do you think it's easier to drop the mic? Alright, so we can either view it through the display. Actually, let me see if we can just do this. Yeah, we'll just do like one eye. Maybe that'll be better. Actually, we can do some kind of combined vision. I don't really want stereoscopic's not super easy to view here. We'll just do this. Okay. So you'll have your controller, which will have a laser pointer on it. And if you put your finger on the touchpad, just touching it, the touchpad is a circle there. If you just touch it, it'll show you where you're going to teleport to. And if you then depress it, you'll teleport there. You can get around like that. There's fancier teleport scripts that have like the arc and they look prettier, but this is super simple to code, so we'll do that. And then I didn't add highlight to that, but we have our, go a little closer, our show choices, which we can then select from this list to select what we want to show up. Oh, actually, if you remember, I switched the order of this at the beginning of class where we switched sphere and kiwi, and now they show up differently in the list as well. So we can get closer and see kind of what these things look like. Which should be really cool for more detailed models and stuff. And I think that's kind of narrowing down our augmented reality project, and since it's going to be a bit shorter project, I think we just might kind of make a version of this in augmented reality, where you'll be able to spawn one of these pedestals in the middle of the room, and then select your choices, and you can walk around it and look at it in augmented reality. So it'll basically be the pedestal without a room around it, because the room is supplied by reality. So. Yep. So this is the finished product. I'll pull open the shared project again, and we can look at the script for that. I'll show you that. So it's not in the update. It's still using a for each loop, but it's inside of a code routine. As you can see, so what Tim's talking about is the show choices here. The items don't all show up right away. They kind of fill in, and that's because we did this. That's the coroutine I was talking about. Let me pull up the script for that. Alright, so it's the same thing. We have this for each loop for each item in our items list. Mine's named slightly differently. we create and I pulled this out into a method just to make it look a little neater. It's creating a new list item of that string. And then this is where the coroutine part comes in. After we've created that new item, which just goes through and same type of thing, sets the position, scale, position, everything, just like we created our button before. It then yields to return a new wait for 0.2 seconds. So what this means is it's basically, instead of using all of the processing time itself, it's going to yield control of the processing, and it's going to wait for 0.2 seconds before it takes over again. And so what the kind of end result of that is, you see these things pop up one every 0.2 seconds. And we could change that value to something smaller, and it would pop up even faster. So it's kind of it's a different effect than if we just did this. This is a method that needs to return something. No, let's do it. You have some options. You can wait for seconds, or for the fixed update, or just for the end of the frame. Okay, so in this case, we're just going to create everything, and then we'll be done. So everything instantly compared to everything over just a little bit of time. Kind of creates a different effect, maybe a little more immersive or design-ish. Maybe like 104 seconds. Oops, not that one. It's a subtle effect, but it can be nicer especially for design people. I'm not a design person myself, but I think it looks nice. So. But you know how to program it after it's on. Alright, so let's go back to the shared project.
You could use that for any other thing, say
Use your anything, yeah.
show up in your world if you want them to show up not all at once.
It doesn't need, yeah, it could be for spawning objects over time. It could be a yield. You could wait for a second, and you could also destroy in a second. So you could make something that flies off and gets destroyed, and then something else is created. It could be, it doesn't even have to be creating things. It can be, we could use a iterator for, not an iterator, well, it's return to 9 normal, but we could use a coroutine to kind of replace an update move method, something that does that oscillation. You can do that in a coroutine if you want to. It's kind of creating a little mini update loop that you can control the time between updates. And it's also used for processing large lists. If you had a large amount of data or something that took a long time to process each thing, like loading in meshes or something like that, use a coroutine so that it could return back and update the UI for a progress bar or something like that. Alright, so we had created our buttons dynamically, and now we just need to hook them up to actually do something. So we got an extra button there somehow. Alright, so in our item list manager, so before I forget, how I fixed that the bug. So actually, CDVR released a new version. It's asking you to update right now. This could actually be fixed in the latest version. Some mixed reality stuff. Yeah, maybe it's added code protecting against double hiding the controllers. Could be it. I'm not sure yet. It could be fixed in the new version, but we had to do that thing where we attached a script to this camera rig. And actually where we want to attach the script is to this camera eye. I just didn't read the directions very carefully. It's in the link that I'll post into Slack here. But if it's attached to the camera eye, then now we can see that our controller is showing up properly. Oh. Yep. Let me set this next. Easier to see that way. Alright, also we can see that our menu is a little off here, so we can adjust the position of that. Let's actually need to check to see what is off position. I'm guessing it's the buttons. So go to our button list. Position is 0 is on Z, and these guys are positioned out a bit. And that could be because our prefab. So let's check our UI prefab button. That's 0. So it's likely because we're instantiating the button at 0 and then putting it underneath as a child. So just like scale, we can fix that by setting my button to transform that local position equal to 0. Now position it at 0, and then that the vertical alignment will take over and reposition it. But this just makes sure that that Z position is going to be 0. So now you can see that's properly aligned. Okay, and then to hook up a response for those, first we need to create a script that spawns items, so we have something to hook up to. So let's actually just still use our item list manager here. And before we were doing something like public void spawn cube or something like that, where we then instantiate a resources load cube. Alright, we were doing something like that before. We want it to be a bit more dynamic though, because we've already got dynamic buttons, so we want to hook up dynamic spawning. So we'll name it spawn item, and we'll pass in the string name of the thing we want to spawn. And that would typically go here. We'll make a little shortcut. So this is just going to take whatever string you pass it in, and it's going to try and load that from resources, and then instantiate it into the scene. And there you have a dynamic spawner that will spawn any prefab, any prefab that you have a name specified for. So you could pass in cube, which is the only one we have right now. But you pass in cube and it will spawn cube.
And how would you pass that in, from the inspector or from the script?
I'll show you in just a second. Let's create a couple more prefabs just so we have more to work with. Or we'll go to the asset store real quick and grab something. It's itty bitty window. rearrange things here. Okay, so assets, there's like a, I think there's something more over there that you can't see. Free, and we want to look for, you could do the standard, or we could just do like props. Kitchen props, or not. Thank you, Jake Sullivan. You've been recognized. Alright, so that's going to download the package. It's going to prompt us. And I'm going to be a little bit selective about what I add into the scene. So for example, I don't need this example Unity. I'll keep all the materials and the models, prefabs, I don't need to README, and the textures. So all of those are good to bring in. Sometimes they'll have like a demo, which will have another scene or scripts or stuff that you don't need necessarily. So you want to keep it clean by being selective of what you bring in. If you knew that you only wanted one model out of here, like the toaster, you could go through here and select everything that's not toaster related, and you just bring in the toaster, and it's images and stuff. Yeah. No. It's like just selecting the toaster. The toaster's not in the prefabs. Yeah, it's just going to go in models. But these prefabs don't have like hard links or links that Unity knows about for what references they need. So you have to know that yourself. And either you do a trial and error, or if Jake Sullivan created a nice setup here, then we can easily define kind of what is needed for what prefabs. It looks like he has a pretty good naming scheme here, so we know what parts we need and what we don't. I'll just import everything except for that. Yeah, the scene file and README, which I'm not going to pull in.
When you're downloading and importing, can you specify what folder you want them pulled into?
Not as far as I know. You can easily move them afterwards, though. Even if you have a script or a prefab reference somewhere, you can move it within Unity, and it will update.
I've just found that when I import things, they'll have really similar folder names, and then they'll end up with like models, materials,
Yeah, so I typically create something like a third-party directory, and then for Jake Sullivan, he created his kitchen props directory already. So he was nice to put everything in a directory of its own. But I'm still going to put it into the third party. And I'm actually also going to take these prefabs and I'm going to put them into my own prefabs directory.
And that moved them, not copied them.
That moved them. Yep. So now I can delete that prefabs directory because I don't want to have to reference third party, blah, 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 prefabs. I just want these prefabs to reference that stuff without me having to know about it. I'm also going to change the names on these a bit so they're a little easier to type in. No, I'm not going to use that one. And then that toaster sounded neat, so I'm going to pull that in from models here. So right now I'm in 2D mode, let's switch out of that. So now we have a toaster, the model itself should have its jeez, this is unbelievable. The model itself should have the mesh and textures applied to it correctly. So I can just then go back to my game prefabs and I can pull down that poster, create another prefab. Just because he didn't include that for some reason, but.
But does that have the textures and everything?
Yeah, the model itself referenced the textures and meshes. If there was some kind of script or animation associated with that, that probably wouldn't be tied to this model, so I'd have to add that myself manually, but these are very simple. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Is that better there? Yeah? Just have to talk like this. Seems like it's, I don't know, just have a big chin or something. Just gets in the way. We just really need the headset with the microphone right there. Something like that. Oh, in case you have a Vive, it's got a microphone built in right there, just in case you wanted to use it for stuff like that. Voice chat or whatever. What was that?
Like high fidelity?
High fidelity. Probably not very high fidelity microphone, but.
The app.
Oh, that's an app?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't used it. Is it a singing app?
It's like Second Life
Okay.
in VR.
Which is an awesome use case for VR, by the way. So. Ready Player One, if you guys haven't read that book, awesome. If you get the audio book, Will Wheaton is the one that reads it, so that's cool. In case you're a 90s child, Will Wheaton was Wesley Crusher on Star Trek Next Generation, and he's been a lifelong nerd, so. And they are making a movie. They better make it perfect. Spielberg's making it, so, well, it can go wrong. Spielberg's not perfect.
Gone
I think
wrong?
they're gonna film some of that here.
Oh yeah? Yeah.
Reference.
Yeah.
Simpsons.
I'm excited for that though. It's gonna be good. Okay. Back to the class. I've just completely messed up all my windows here. In case you do mess up all your windows, there's layouts up here. This layout button, and you can set it to the default. Or you can save your own. You can save a layout that you have and reload it later if you want to. Even there's like a better looking layout than this. Probably not. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, so we have some prefabs that we want to load up. Here. And we have 185, perfect. So now let's set those real quick. So we have cube, we have bowls, we have dish rack. Plate, stack. So because I'm using strings, this is a little error prone. So let's try prefabs real quick and drop those in and see if we can make that a little less human error prone. First we'll finish this off real quick. So instead of strings, we're going to keep game objects in this list. And that means we also need to change our for each loop to iterate over game objects instead of strings. And then our resources here, we should be able to actually just shortcut this and say, oh no, that's a button. We still want to keep that one. Here we want to say item.name instead of just item. So let's see if that works. So that's going to clear out this guy because we changed it. So it's still going to have 5 objects. And we can just drop those and set it. So a bit less error prone, won't be prone to typos and stuff. Let's see if it actually works. So there's our bowls, cube, dish rack, plate, stack, toaster.
And so last week we were talking about best practices, and things in your resources list ideally would all either be capitalized or not.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we kept the names simple because we were going to be typing them in. But now that we can just drop in stuff, we can name these a little neater. You could also do something. You could do something like a pretty print method, which is take that raw string and makes it nice. You can find those online somewhere, but for now we'll just do this, and hopefully, then now we can. Another feature of using prefabs is they're updated here as well. So now those looks a little nicer that way. Okay. And that was a pretty simple change, right? Just changing it to a list of game objects and then iterating with each game object and retrieving its name instead of just using it as text.
So why did you start it with strings instead of game objects if game object just makes so much more sense? Just to show us.
Yeah, it's a little cleaner. It's a little easier to understand because it's just a string, right? Instead of a game object that could have other stuff associated with it. But, yeah. All right, so when spawning an item, let's see if we could change that. Yeah, I think we can actually, now we can change this to a game object as well. Instead of passing in the name of the object and reloading it, we can do this, and then we can just instantiate the item itself. So before we were going to pass in the name of this, because all we had was a string, right? So we had to pass in the name of that, because we just had a string name. So we pass in that name and then load it here. But now, since we're using game objects, and I'm going to show you how to assign an event to that button in just a little bit. So that we haven't connected all the dots here yet, but this is the beginning of the line, and this is the end of the line, and I'm going to show you the middle in just a second. But now we can, since we have a game object to work with here, we can use a game object here instead as well, and just instantiate a copy of that game object. And so now these game objects they're just prefabs, they're not loaded into the scene yet, which is why when we want to load them into the scene, we have to do this instantiate. Okay, so we know that we have access to the button here, and we need access to that the button script on there as well, because that's where we want to set that on click event. And that's just going to be my button.get component button. And that's going to access, so if we add a button here, that's just taking our button object and it's going to access this button script right here. And inside that button script is a event, and we'll go over events. As well. But mostly, you're just going to be using them for buttons, starting out with. But eventually, you can create events and event handlers, and it's really nice for decoupling code. In that you don't have a script that's written to work precisely with another script. You don't have to have a hard-coded reference to that script. You can just have something that triggers an event over here, and this one can say, I'm listening for events of this type, and this can generate an event of that type, and this will pick it up. Instead of this object saying, look at this object and see what it's doing, now you can have a number of objects that might spawn that kind of event, and this one could listen to all those without having to know which one is doing what. That's what the decoupling is. So then you don't have that hard link between them anymore. They can be dynamic. So there's this on-click event. And we're going, we want to do an add listener. This is that same thing where we have an event and we're adding ourselves, or we're adding a method as a listener. And events are basically kind of a lazy way of saying it's for one object to tell another, when you do this thing, I want you to call this code. So it's a way of handing off saying, here's the code I want you to call when you do event X. So whenever you do event X, call this code. And then when that object gets to the point where it triggers that event, it could be a click, it could be something touches it, it could be a certain amount of time passed, anything can trigger an event, anything that you code in. Once that event is triggered, for each object that asks it to call code, it's going to call that code for each of those objects. And what we're going to do here is create, this is going to be one of those things where you just have to, we're going to use Lambda syntax to create a delegate. So just take it on faith that this is something that you can definitely just copy and paste in for now. You don't have to understand the details of it, okay? And it looks like this, where it's a body that we're going to then pass in a spawn item, and we're going to pass in our item, which is our game object. And so what this is doing essentially is it's saying add a new listener, and the code that I want you to call is spawn item, and I want you to pass in this item that's right here. Okay? It's the same type of thing as if we were on the button itself and we wanted to do this and say there it is, our spawner, and we want to go to item list manager and say spawn item, and so if we're hard coding it, this is how we do it, right? Where if this button was for cube, then the button event would call spawn item and cube. Okay. But we're automatically setting this text to cube in our script. We're creating this button automatically, setting the text to cube, and now this is how we would automatically in the code add this event. Is this on click? When you're clicked, go to the spawner object, retrieve its item list manager script, and then pass in cube to that method. Same type of thing we did before, where we said, what did we do? Was on click, and then we said spawn cube or spawn whatever. When you click that, it went to that object, to that script, and it called that method. Okay? This is the same thing, except we're passing in a prefab to say spawn this item. So even if we weren't doing everything dynamically in the code itself, we could create we could still use that generic spawn item method. And this is how you do it, it's by passing in prefab. I think this is going to work. There might be a scope issue where we'll have to go back to the text. We'll see. Well, without anything hooked up to it yet, so we can't press it. Let me switch out of VR mode. Move the camera a bit. We gotta view this thing. Okay. That system standard input. My buttons aren't working. I don't know why yet.
Do you take out that extra component of the on-click?
No, it's still there. Look at this. It's annoying, but when you dynamically add on-click events in script, they don't show up in the inspector at runtime. So we can't really confirm that. But I'm assuming. What we can do is attach debugger and see if our thing can call even. So what I did there was I set a breakpoint on that spawn item instantiate line. So now when I click a button, hopefully the debugger should be triggered. So since that breakpoint's not being hit, that means that our, oh, there we go. This double click works. Okay, so our bowl was passed in. If we look at our call sec, well, let's just step out of this. We can see that the execution is happening right here on this line, and that's good. So create our bowl stack. Oh, so must be something about the size of these buttons. They're not the right size or something. Let's see. The other thing we need to fix then is the positioning of those elements. So create our UI prefab button list. Should be positioned fine. It could just be because we have the CMDR loaded up and it's not recognizing the position very well. That's off there. Well, ideally that'll work better once we hook up the controller input. The mouse input's the problem here. It's just not working very well.
So the problem that I was having when I was working on this last week is that the objects are spawning at the origin.
Yeah.
Whereas it looks like these objects are at specific places that they're going, or are they just...
That's just because the prefabs themselves have a position.
Oh, I see.
So that's what it uses as the position when it's spawned in, is the prefab position. So if these were all zeros, then they would all spawn in at 0.
So I assume there's some ways to make like an empty object just like transform and have it like spawn at that.
That's what we're doing next,
Okay, awesome.
is the setting position. And that's what we're going to do is create a public transform. Oops. spawn position. And that will create an empty transform here for spawn position. Like I said before, we created this kind of container object so that we could put other things underneath it. And one of them is that spawn. Spawn position. And then we can set this to something above here. And then we set it there, spawn position.
How did you set that?
Oh,
You
just
made it as an empty game object, but how did it know to put that empty game object in the spawn position?
so it is an empty, it's a transform spawn position here. And then, so I'm selecting a spawner, which is a thing that contains this item manager script. So there's that spawn position transform, and I just drag the spawn position object, the empty object, onto that spot. So now when we are creating our objects, we're going to say spawn item dot transform dot position equals spawner position dot position spawn item dot transform dot rotation equals spawn position dot transform or dot rotation. Okay.
Could you do that with scale as well? If
Yep.
you wanted to.
Yep. So now, let's do this. There. Turn off the R again. This should be here. This. Yeah.
That script, excuse me, that you gave us that fixes the problem that you're dealing with right now, what's going to attach that to the...
Anywhere. You can attach it to anything, and then let me pull it up.
Because if you don't have that right now, and that's why each time you need to go in and tell it.
Yeah. So just copy that, and I mean I can attach it to this plane, for example. We call it. The name of your class has to be the same name as the file name. So this is a disable VR. So I'm just I had it named as scene config before, so I'm just replacing all the references with the new name. So whatever object you have it attached to is just where you're going to control it from. So now if I attach it to the plane, I can control it from there. So the camera's not good, but now we can see they're being spawned up here on top. And we also saw that we're spawning duplicates on top of each other. So one other thing we want to do is do a private name object. Keep track of the spawned object. So whenever we spawn an object, we're going to set it spawned object equal to that spawned item. And before we spawn any objects, we check to see if spawned object does not equal null, which means it's set to something, then we're going to do a destroy spawned object. You might be able to destroy with null as well. I'm not sure if that would work or not. It might throw an error. So now, adjust the camera, because that's silly. So why is it doing that? It's probably something in VR's resetting the position. So now we can see that any object we put up there is replaced with whatever other item. The cube is large enough that it expands beyond the spawn position, so it kind of moves up a little bit, and that's the collision resolution.
Did you give it a rigid body?
Yeah, it starts. This was the default clone, so it starts with a rigid body, or the default. No, we created this prefab when we were creating those flying cubes and stuff. So yeah, we have. Whoops. If you guys don't know about multiple desktops on Windows 10, pretty neat. It's control windows, left and right arrow. So you can have one desktop for, you know, like your social media stuff, and then one for your dev environment. What was that?
Linux.
Yeah, it's like Linux, multiple desktops. So Windows key tab, you can see your two desktops, you can move stuff between them, and you create new desktops there. Little side note. And somehow you can accidentally press Control Windows left right, but I managed to do it.
Oh, I'm doing homework and parents leave like switch to
Oh yeah, no, I totally have it at work. You know, have all my VR stuff or whatever, and then. All right, so I mean that's our the interaction we wanted. Now we just need to hook up the controllers so that they can do stuff. And since we are recording and we're running low on time, I'm going to kind of speed through it, and you guys can watch the video again later. Do ask questions if you have them, and I'll try and address them so you don't forget what the questions were, but I'm going to go kind of fast. Okay. No. So we're going to create the control interface, and the easiest way to do that is with the physics system. So we're going to modify our UI prefab just a bit to include a physics collider. So we're going to add a physics box collider. And right now the scale is a little wonky because its size is set to 101, but this object is actually 116 by 25. So we're going to set it to that size, 25. And then it's too long right now because the z-axis on the canvas is at normal size, so this is too big for what we want to use it for. So we'll set it to like 0.05 or something. So if you can see that green box surrounding it, that's our physics interaction area. Okay. We're going to set that to a trigger. It's not critical, just with the ray casting we're going to do, but it'll enable us later on to pass the controller just into the button to activate it. Instead of pointing at it, we can touch buttons, because VR you want more than just like a mouse cursor, right? You want to be able to touch things. So using this strategy will enable us to do both the pointing with a laser pointer to trigger and as well as touch. So we updated our prefab with a box collider, and we're going to then apply that. So it's saved to the prefab down here, and then we can delete that. Pull up my script so it's a little faster to write. So the interaction that we're going to use is we're going to attach a script to the controller, this is kind of the first time you get to attach a script to something real, almost. At least the virtual representation of something real. So that object-oriented stuff really comes into play. And that's under the camera rig. We have our left and right controller. For now, we'll just modify the right controller. There's a component called, it's in CVR, and it's called the laser pointer. And that's just going to add a laser pointer to your controller. Oops, need to enable VR again. You know what? I'll just give it the manual way, so I have to debug at the moment. Player. No, it was on. Good script. Oops. So now we have a laser pointer on our controller there. You can change the color and all that as well. Here. Red. Purple laser pointer is cool. Like Mace Windu. Anyone?
So, and if you add rigid body, then that's what helps it interact with the trigger? Oh no, that's the pointer.
We didn't add a rigid body, we added a collider.
Right, but on the laser pointer it says add rigid body.
Oh yeah, if we wanted to add a rigid body to the pointer itself, then we could hit things with the laser pointer. We're not going to do that. But we are going to add a new script here. We'll call it my controller. And this is just going to be where we add all the functionality for casting that ray out and detecting what it hits and triggering what it hits if it hits something we're interested in. And so this is something where we look at the documentation, which I have. It's not technically the documentation, it's someone posted some snippets for it. With this, which I'll post into the Slack. It's called Steam VR controller input in 5 minutes. And it's just showing us how we can use the Steam VR tracked controller script, which comes with the Steam VR assets. And we can then attach an event to that trigger click, which is this guy. And this is the same thing as that on-click event, like the button. And this plus equals is saying, I want you to also call this code when that event is triggered. Okay. So we can do something like this. There's an attribute, which is something you attach to classes. It's with square brackets, and you say it's a require component. And this is something that tells Unity whenever this script is added to an object, I want to make sure that this other script is also added. And that's a type of, this is another one of those things, just copy and paste for now. It's a Steam VR, the track controller. And that's a script that we're gonna, if we add my controller to a game object, we're gonna make sure that tracked controller is also there. In this case, we're just adding it to Steam VR, and we're gonna make sure that the Steam VR controller, and we're gonna make sure that this script is also attached to that controller. And the reason we want to make sure it's also attached is because we want to reference it. And that's just a reference to the device that we're using. And it's like,
So if the required component wasn't available, like if the person didn't have that handset, would it just disregard this script entirely?
you would either not be allowed to add this script if, for example, like, it's going to automatically add this script if you add this script. If you add my controller, it's going to automatically add CBR track controller. If you didn't have a physical device and you attach this script, there's going to be a lot of errors because this is expecting some kind of physical device to be.
Yeah, I was just curious whether it would basically like break it because you don't have a required component, or if it would just disregard so that it didn't break.
No, it's either, this script is either going to have to be removed. If this script wasn't there, or if you tried to take this script off of an object, this script would say, you can't remove that script, I'm using it. So that's what the required component does. Make sure that combination of scripts is still there. So here we're going to get that CDR track controller. And it's a good practice that if you're getting a component in your start, just make sure it's also required as part of the game object, part of the script, so that otherwise this can easily fail and someone will be like, why is that failing? Oh, I need to add this script manually, but this will automatically add it. So
does that mean that? Oh, never mind. No.
yeah. All right, so we have this device, and then we are going to the device. We're going to add an event to the trigger pressed, so the trigger button, which is what we want to use to activate our menus. So we're going to point it at something and pull the trigger. And that's a plus equals. We'll create a new method called trigger. Methods added to this event handler have specific requirements. So I'm going to do this. The method signature has to be of a certain type, because this guy's going to call various bits of code, right? And it's going to be expecting to be able to either get a certain value back from that code, or it's going to expect to be able to pass in certain values to that code. So that's what a delegate is it's a method signature that says when you are triggered, call this code, and it has to know that it can pass in certain values. And we'll see why it needs to pass in certain values in just a little bit. Those values. Let's see if actually we have a. We can generate trigger pressed. We want. Sorry, trigger pressed is a boolean. We want trigger clicked. You can tell the difference by trigger pressed is a field. You can see it's a boolean. Trigger clicked is this little lightning bolt. That means it's like an action. It's an event, something that gets activated. So we want to add that. So by trigger, actually let's erase this and hopefully it can generate it for us. That's it is generating a. That's not what we want it to generate. So I'll just type it in. It's void trigger, and we want it to be an object. Sender and a quick event args. So when the trigger is clicked, we're saying add this method to your events that you're gonna call when that thing is triggered. And it's expecting to be able to pass in a sender and these clicked event args, which is going to contain information about, in this case, it could be like where on the touchpad was touched, or this trigger is sensitive to how far you press it in. So events could be triggered for information like that. So that's why you need to be able to pass information along with the event. You're not just calling a method, you have to pass in an object that has information about what the event happened, how it happened, when it happened.
Is args arguments?
Yeah. What was that? Sorry, I only heard args again. Yeah. Oh, that's just the name. Oh, that's just the name of the. You could call it clicks, events, args, or you could call it in. If you want to. That's just the name. That's. You'll see this. This is a very common method signature for events in C#.net, where you pass in who's sending the event and then some kind of arguments. And the standard is typically sender and E for the variable names there. So, and that was just automatically input when it generated it for us. So when this when the trigger is clicked, we want to cast a ray. An array is just array, not array, but ray. A ray is a line that has a position, starting point, and a direction, and then it's infinite from there. It doesn't have an end, so it's not technically a line. A line would have a start and an end point, right? This is a ray that has a direction with no end. So we create a new ray. Equals a new ray. So we're going to give it a position. The position is going to be the position of the device. Because that's where we want the origin of the ray to start, is from our controller. And the direction is going to be the direction that the device is pointing, which is the forward of that transform. And then we're going to do the ray cast, which is a physics operation that takes a ray and it applies that ray to the scene and sees if that ray intersects any physics objects, colliders. So it's kind of under the hood is fairly complex about how it does those operations, but luckily we can just call a method and it does it for us. One of the things it's going to do is it's going to return a raycast hit. This is information about the raycast hit, like where it hit, how far away from the origin point it was, the name of the collider that it hit, that collider's object, all that kind of stuff. It's just a data structure information about the stuff coming back from that hit. And we're going to use that in just a second with the raycast, the physics raycast method, which returns a boolean if physics raycasts, we're going to pass in the ray that we created, and we're going to use the out parameter. Just a second. Don't go exploding heads. So this is a way, so sometimes you have a method and you only have one return type, right? There's just a one return thing that you can return from a method. And in this case, they're going to return a boolean. This method returns a boolean. But and that just tells us if it hit something or not. So we can easily decide, if we hit something, do this thing, otherwise do something else. But we also want information about the thing that was hit. So this out parameter is saying, I'm going to pass in an empty object, and if you hit something, I want you to fill that object with information about what was hit. And so then down here we can access that, and we can say, let's say debug log hits dot collider.name. This will just return the name of the collider we hit. And anywhere outside of this, if we try and access hit, it's going to be we're going to get a null reference because it hasn't been set, right? Because this is going to be local to this scope only. Okay. Well, it's only going to be inside this scope is the only place where it's going to be something other than null. Because if we didn't hit anything, then there's no information to set here, so it's going to be null. Okay, so let's give this a try. I think we have everything we need. Alright, so we have an array, and when we click the trigger is when it's going to call that null reference exception. Oh, let's get our console up and do the track. Where is it? Well, we have a console somewhere. Well, we should be able to see the next message appear down here in the bottom. So looks like our null reference is happening. Got a problem here. Let's see. Track device get components. Alright, we need our console. Oh, it's not finding that. Oh, I added the script before I typed that require component, so it didn't add that component. So that requirement comes at the time of adding the script, so we're going to re-add that. So now we see that it added our script as well as this track controller. Okay, so now we can click and we see that it's a button clone, which is the name of the items in that list. They're all named button clone. So we don't know which one I'm pressing yet, but it's one of those. We can see that this plane has a collider to this cube. The cube does. So right now it's kind of a object identifier where we can select something and click the trigger to see what it is we're hitting. And that's a raycast, and it's following that same line as the laser pointer there. Whatever you point the laser pointer at is where it's going to cast the ray. You see it gets a little larger when you click the trigger. That's just something built into the laser pointer script that when it's triggered it makes the pointer a little larger for kind of a visual confirmation of clicking. Okay, so now we know we're hitting something. We're also hitting like the cube and the plane. And you guys probably have seen the layers in Unity. Up here. Every object has, well, let's look at, every object has some kind of layer defined for it. And this raycast can actually filter based on those layers. So we can say, if we want a layer mask, we need to also define a max distance. So we'll just say 100 is our maximum. So that means that turns it into a line instead of array, right? It's just a line of 100 length. Anything beyond that distance won't be considered a hit. That's useful for something where you want to have just near stuff being triggered, or you don't want to have like a first-person shooter or something like that. You wouldn't want the ray to go infinity. Okay. So our layer, we're going to get the mask for the UI layer. And what this means is that we only want to recognize objects that are in the UI layer. And that's because our buttons are going to be they're not set to the UI. Well, we want to set them to UI. So our UI prefab button, set the layer to UI. And it's just asking us if we want to change this and all sub-objects. Yes, we do. So now when we try and point at things, so now pointing the trigger at things that aren't UI shouldn't trigger, but now the UI items should trigger. Let's see. And UI. Oh, I took out our debug statement. So now these guys don't trigger, but these ones do. So now our pointer is only triggering when it hits a UI item, which is good. That'll just filter out the next test we do. When we say we're going to try and retrieve the button on that object. And this is again that using the Unity engine UI, we want to use that. And this is going to be our hit. The collider.get component. So this is going to say take that hit object and retrieve its button component. If it doesn't have one, then it's going to return null. So say if the button is not equal to null, then we're going to say button dot on click. And we're going to say invoke. What invoke is going to do is it's the script way of saying press the button. So it'll trigger that button and press. So let's start. So now it's detecting the raycast is hitting the button. It's deciding to see if it has a button script attached to it, and if it does, then it's going to click the button. And so that's, you can interact with the UI now. Yeah? So it's fast, but hopefully it should make sense. It's a fairly, once you look at the script, I mean, it seemed like it took a lot, but really we just, we pulled down this device that allowed us to access the physical buttons. This script right here gives us information about which buttons are being pressed and stuff like that. And that's how we attached our method here, so that whenever the trigger is pressed, it's going to create this ray, which is at the position of the device pointing forward, and then it's going to cast that ray into the scene, and any UI item that it hits, it's going to check to see if it has a button, and if it does have a button, then it's going to click the button. So any buttons that your array comes in contact with when you pull the trigger are going to be clicked.
Could you make it so that, I mean, I know you could. How could you make it so that you have to hit 2 different buttons in order for something to happen? Right? So if you wanted to be like, plates, go, or something like that.
You could create a secondary UI that when you press the first button, it instantiates that second UI, the confirmation UI, for example. And that confirmation UI script would have like a placeholder for a game object. And so when your first button click would spawn that, set its placeholder to whatever object you were trying to spawn, and then the OK button on that confirmation, if you press that, it would spawn the object. Or if you pushed cancel, it would destroy that instantiation and show that other one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's not required for
No.
any of the stuff.
I was imagining that it would be like a if this and if this, then.
You could do that as well if you had another script that said you could all contain it in one script if you wanted to, and just say item to be spawned, and you'd set the object, and then you would show the second UI and say if this UI clicks trigger spawn object on this script over here, and it would spawn item to be spawned. So, yeah.
So right now we have raycast, but you said eventually we'll have it where trigger equals like you have the position close enough to the button to like.
Right. And you
How
can.
different is that script? Is that just a matter of replacing raycast with trigger, or is that a lot more?
Yeah, it's not too different actually, technically we're in lab time right now, but I can kind of explain how that works. That's not going to be one of the requirements for the VR project, but what we can do is you would modify that. Well, so you'd add a little sphere or some kind of object to the controller.
To have an interface.
Yeah, like you put a sphere on the tip of the controller. So this is great because we can imagine here. You'd attach a game object, a sphere or a collider, or even just a collider that encompasses the tip of the controller. And then you'd have like a on trigger enter or a so in our button scripts, we can say this guy, item manager. Well, I guess we can put it in the controller. We'd say on trigger enter if other collider is of type UI and it's a button, then when I push the button, trigger the button. So it's basically just it's replacing this raycast test with are these two physics objects touching? If so, and it's a button, then click the button. So it's not too big of a leap to go to that physical interaction. Okay. Any other questions right now? So you may have guessed the next part of the homework is going to be hooking up this interaction to your VR rooms, and then you had a minimum requirement of, I think, 2 of the UIs should be interactive right now, and the choice is up to you. You can either make all of your UIs dynamic like this one, where they generate that list of buttons automatically, or you can hard code it. Whatever is easiest for you, or however you want to challenge yourself. So the dynamic one would mean that you'd have to kind of almost recreate your buttons now, except you'd only have to do it once, and then all of them are automatically generated. So that is an option. Otherwise, you need to go to each button and add a collider and set up go to each button, which is going to be, I think I said you have to have 4 controllable or configurable things, with something like 3 each. So there's 15 buttons at least that you're going to have to go to, set their collider, set the event, set it to a prefab to spawn, all that stuff. So this is why this dynamic approach makes things a lot easier, because you just write it once and then you can drag and drop. So, but it's up to you how you want to do it. One of them is just more time consuming, the other is going to be more challenging. So finish the VR room. This is a project that you could show to employers or to anyone you like, your family. So friends, they're the critical ones. So try and make it nice. If it's going to be something that you want to show off, and it's going to be, it's in itself, it's a complete project that is something that's kind of self-contained as I can do all these things in VR, and it really utilizes the VR. And I can go in right now to the teleport. It's fairly simple. It's going to be using the same kind of raycast thing. Or I can just upload the scripts for that, and you can add that to your scene as well. So, if you want time to start working on your projects right now, I would suggest starting work on your projects. A lot of you have been pretty silent about asking for help. Please come to me. You are paying for this class, and I'm paying to help you. So let's put that money to work and get you help, because you're here to learn this stuff, and the best way to do that is to ask questions of me, okay? And each other, of course. But I'm here right now, and I can help you with anything that you're doing in VR. Even if it's extra stuff outside of the projects that you're working on, like a two-step button configuration, I can help you guys with how you might implement that or how to facilitate those things. So use my time, use Slack if you need to. If you're embarrassed about asking for help, send me a private message on Slack and ask there, and I can answer you there, whatever you need. Okay? It's in the shared project. I haven't checked it in yet. I'll do a check-in right now, just to be at this state. So our shared project, look at our working copy, we see that we've modified some stuff, or we added these scripts, added these props, so we're just going to stage all. This is saying that the files are large, and we don't have a proper development environment with Artifactory or something set up, which is my what you use, but large files just means that your repository is going to grow quickly, especially if you're changing these files. We're not, so it's not a huge deal, but for now we're not too worried about this. Sage all. Oh, it's running in the background right now, so just have to wait. And this is a new bug or something with source tree. You might see unstaged files still after you hit stage all. Just hit stage all again.
Yeah, I started running into that when I had larger asset files.
It like times out or something. So just keep hitting stage all until everything is gone from your unstaged files. Happy Canada Day for anyone who's Canadian. Alright, so the changes I made today are pushed. If you want to stick around, I'm going to go through the teleport stuff. Should be pretty quick. It's a question for Anthony.
Yeah, I'm actually going to slow it down and send you guys a
Tim, what day is Valentine's Day?